The city of Szolnok is home to an active military airbase that hosts most of Hungary's helicopter fleet. There are two aviation museums here, one by the base and the main one which is around a 15-minute walk from the city centre, the latter of which is the subject of this video. A grand collection of all kinds of Cold War aircraft and helicopters from behind the Iron Curtain. If you're looking for MiGs, Mils and Sukhois, this museum won't disappoint. Today I am here at the Hungarian Air Force Museum at Szolnok, a short train ride away from Budapest. The 1.5 hour journey passes through the pretty Hungarian countryside of fields full of sunflowers. Then by the time you arrive, it is a simple walk down the main road and a turn to the left. A modern building houses a museum entrance, which is also the display hangar for indoor exhibits. Most of the exhibits here are outside in a large grassy area with paths around the aircraft. I was immediately drawn towards an example of the Mil-24 Hind gunship, looking very menacing as it sits on the concrete platform. Helicopters are not always a common sight at aviation museums, but Szolnok has more than its fair share thanks to it being located right beside a helicopter base, with no fewer than 3 of the Mil-8/17 HIP transport helicopters found just beside the Hind. The main helicopter to serve Soviet bloc countries, this helicopter has served as a workhorse in all kinds of roles, being particularly useful for assaults with a large cabin and the ability to carry armament. This is best evidenced by the all-green helicopter, with 2 rocket pods strapped to each side. The other 2 are unarmed, the helicopter furthest from the museum hangar having large rectangular windows. Prior to the Mil-8/17 being in service, the company had another helicopter called the Mil-4 Hound in service for transport roles. Besides the helicopters is one of many Mikoyan MiG-21s that can be found at the museum. This one being kept within a grassy embankment for protection, just like how they would be on a real airbase. Just like the earlier Mil-8/17 helicopter, this one carries an array of rocket pods just to look mean and threatening. The vast majority of hardware the Hungarian Air Force used during the Cold War came from Soviet Russia, but many of the trainers were designed and built within the communist bloc, 2 examples of these being the L-29 and L-39. Originally designed in Czechoslovakia, these jet trainers were in widespread use and served in trainer and light ground attack roles. This side of the museum features all of the aircraft of different shapes and sizes, with 2 others being an incomplete Antonov AN-2 and a Lusanov Li-2. The Antonov is a biplane by design, but this one is missing its tail surfaces and wings. Most of the aircraft held at the museum are in immaculate condition, so this Allied 2 is letting the side down a bit by being in desperate need of a repaint. Before moving on to the next part of the museum grounds, there is a strange metal tower in the centre, and it just so happens that this is a viewing platform where you can get a unique bird's eye view of the aircraft. Looking out to one side, what I'm calling MiG Alley comes into view. Any good Eastern European aviation museum will have one of these, a whole lineup of typically Mikoyan fighters. Starting with the MiG-15 fighter variant and the UTI trainer version, the museum has one each of these early jet fighters of the 50s for this company, with a MiG-17 and MiG-19 also present. Then it is on to the famous Mikoyan MiG-21s, and the museum holds no fewer than 7 of these in a row. Starting with the earliest model, this is the F-13 variant, the next one's progressively showing how the aircraft type was developed over the decades. 2 twin-seat MiG-21 versions in a silver scheme are up next, followed by 3 single-seaters in camouflage. Sometimes the armament carried is the only difference I can see between these aircraft, and they are made more interesting with a different weapons loadout on each. Eventually more aircraft from the Mikoyan Design Bureau are found, but these are different as they are the MiG-23 floggers. One not seen too often is the twin-seat trainer variant in an all-over grey scheme. Besides this is the Sukhoi Su-22, a tactical strike aircraft developed from the earlier Sukhoi designs like the Su-7. After wandering past all of these Russian-built aircraft, there is then the unusual sight of 2 American-designed aircraft here. The only non-Hungarian aircraft at this museum are 2 Lockheed F-104 Starfighters, one in Turkish Air Force markings and the other in Luftwaffe German markings. Besides these were a couple empty spaces with just a placard reading, "Exhibit coming soon," so it will be interesting to see what's added later. At the far end of the museum is a collection of Soviet vehicles and missile carriers. Unlike the aircraft, I'm not familiar with the names of each of these vehicles, my knowledge pretty much ending with being able to identify some as early warning radar equipped trucks and others as mobile platforms to launch fearsome looking ground to air missiles. Out of the 4 MiG-24 Hounds at this museum, 3 of them are completely covered in special display scheme markings. The Hungarians sure know how to paint up an aircraft. In between two of the hangars are the most colourful and attractive looking exhibits within the whole museum. It's impressive enough that there are 4 MiG-24 gunships here, let alone that 3 of them are fantastically painted in these special display schemes. These aren't the only colourful Hungarian aircraft here, and further on is another Aero L-39 Albatros and a Mikoyan MiG-21 fishbed in special markings. That MiG-21 could not be much more yellow if it tried. The last outdoor aircraft here is the Mikoyan MiG-29 Fulcrum, a fighter aircraft that Hungary replaced with the Swedish-built Saab JAS-39 Gripen at the turn of the century. The modern hangar building houses a large number of exhibits and a few more aircraft, generally the ones that wouldn't survive as well outside, that have been kept safe from the elements in here. Common Russian trainer aircraft like the Yakovlev Yak-11 and Polikarpov P-02 are found here in Hungarian markings, along with some other light aircraft of different manufacturers. The most unusual of these is the Messerschmitt Bf-108. A couple more helicopters are found indoors, these being a MiL-1 and a MiL-2, and then look what we have just around the corner. Surprise, surprise, it's another Mikoyan MiG-21. That makes 10 I've counted at the museum. As Hungary was subjected to a Soviet invasion as well as American bombing raids during World War II, it's no surprise to find out that a fair few aircraft crashed from the skies of Hungary. The museum houses all kinds of recovered wreckage from these, ranging from components and an engine of an American heavy bomber to the engines of Russian and German fighters. The most significant, however, is a wreck of an Ilyushin IL-2, the backbone of the Soviet aerial armada sweeping aside enemy positions during the war. Taking a break from aircraft, the other 2 noteworthy exhibits was this capsule from the Soviet space program complete with the old CCCP titling, and for some reason a suit of Japanese samurai armour, just for a change. All of the exhibits are of post-World War II origin, as Hungary had aligned itself with Axis powers and lost. So sadly, none of the interesting types they used during these years are held here, but there are some photos and displays that at least provide their story. If you have enjoyed this video on the Szolnok Aviation Museum, why not leave a like and follow my channel for more, and I'll bring you many more aviation museums from around the rest of the world. However, until next time, see you around.